The outcast among warriors. The wind inside the Temple of Blades was not natural. It whispered through cold stone walls like voices from the dead. The chamber was wide and silent, filled with warriors from many alien races. They stood tall, armored, proud. Some had scales, some had horns, others glowed with strange light. They were the best from every world in the Empire, but in the middle of them stood one human, dirty, tired, wearing an old cloak and broken boots. His name was Rek. They laughed at him. "Look at that weak creature," said a three-eyed warrior. "He doesn't even have armor," hissed another. "Why is a human here? This is a place for true warriors." Rek didn't answer. He kept walking forward, his eyes on the blade. It stood on a black stone in the center of the chamber. A long sword, silver and glowing faintly, buried deep in the stone. They called it the Blade of Origin, a weapon that only chose the worthy. Legend said that long ago it burned in the hands of ancient heroes. Only one warrior every 100 years could touch it and live. Rek had no training, no rank, and no support. He had come alone from a world the Empire barely remembered, Earth. But still, he walked. The high priest of the temple, an alien with golden skin and no mouth, raised his hand. Silence fell. "The test begins," the priest said through a translator drone. "If he touches the blade and nothing happens, he will be removed. If the blade rejects him, he will burn." The warriors leaned in, hungry to watch the human fail. Rek stepped up to the stone. His heart was calm, not because he had no fear, but because he had already lost everything. His people were forgotten. His home was ruined. He had come not to win, but to try. He reached out his hand. "Don't touch the sacred blade, wretch," one alien called. "Only a true warrior deserves it." Rek touched the hilt. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the blade lit up. A blinding white light burst from the sword. The ground trembled. A deep ancient sound echoed through the temple, like a choir made of thunder and fire. The laughing stopped. The warriors fell back, shielding their eyes. Rek's hand held the sword. It rose from the stone, burning with power. The light wrapped around his body, lifting him off the ground. A voice entered his mind, not loud, but deep and full of memory. "You are the last hope." Rek's eyes widened. The blade was speaking to him. The energy didn't hurt. It felt warm, like being seen after years of being ignored. The high priest dropped to one knee. Others followed, not out of respect, but out of fear. "This is not possible," one alien whispered. "A human cannot be chosen." Rek floated down, the blade still in his hand. "I didn't come to take your place," he said softly. "I came because no one else did." The elders began shouting. "He must be tested. He is a danger. Kill him before the blade binds fully." Guards rushed forward. Rek raised the sword. It did not swing. It simply pulsed with light, and the guards stopped, frozen in place, held by invisible force. But Rek lowered the weapon. He did not want to fight. "What is this place really?" he asked. "Why did the blade choose me?" The high priest trembled. "Because it remembers, because it waits, and maybe because it forgives." From the shadows, another figure watched silently, cloaked in silver, hidden from all. His eyes burned with rage. "The human must not live," the figure whispered. "If the truth returns, the Empire will fall." Chosen by fire, the sacred blade no longer shone. It rested quietly in Rek's hand now, like a sleeping beast. Its warmth still pulsed through his fingers, but the bright light that shocked the temple had faded. Only silence remained, heavy and cold. Rek stood in the center of the grand chamber. Around him, alien warriors whispered in fear, confusion, and rage. The high priest's mouthless face was unreadable, but his golden eyes were wide with something close to panic. The temple guards hesitated. They had seen the blade freeze their best fighters without a swing. No one dared move, But then a voice broke the silence. He must be tested again. A sharp, cruel voice said from the shadows above. Everyone looked up. From a high balcony, an elder counselor stepped forward. His armor was black and red, his skin pale blue. He was from the high-born Jitar race, rulers of 6 systems known for their pride and cruelty. His name was Lord Karnax. The blade choosing him means nothing, Karnax said, eyes glowing with contempt. The weapon is ancient. It may be broken, confused, or corrupted by human weakness. We will see what he is really made of. Rex said nothing. Send him to the trial grounds, Karnax ordered. Tonight, the crowd gasped. That's a death sentence, one warrior whispered. No one returns from the trial grounds. Rex looked down at the blade. It whispered to him again. A voice only he could hear. Fire will prove the truth. Walk through it and become who you were always meant to be. That night, they gave Rex no food, no rest, no armor. They led him down beneath the temple, through metal tunnels and rusted doors, into the heart of a forgotten world. The trial grounds were once part of the old wars, full of broken machines, wild beasts, and deadly traps left behind. Now it was used only for punishment. Survive until dawn, said the guard. If you're still breathing, you may leave. If not, well, at least the Empire will be clean again. They pushed him through and locked the gate behind him. The air was thick with smoke. Giant metal trees groaned in the dark. Lights flickered far above. Strange growls echoed in the distance. Rex gripped the blade tightly. It glowed faintly again, showing him the path. He walked slowly, carefully, past shattered armor and bones. Many had come before him. None had returned. Suddenly, a screech from the shadows, a beast charged. It had 6 legs, eyes like fire, and metal spikes growing from its back. It was twice his size, faster, stronger. Rex ran. The beast chased him, crashing through old walls, roaring like a machine. Rex ducked under debris, leaped over broken pipes, and slipped into a narrow chamber. The blade pulsed. Stand. Fight. You are not alone. Rex turned, raised the blade, and faced the beast. When it leapt, he didn't swing. He called to the blade, and the blade answered. A shockwave of energy exploded from it, striking the creature mid-air. The beast slammed into the wall, stunned. Rex stepped forward and plunged the blade into its chest. The beast shuddered and fell. Rex's chest heaved. Sweat poured from his face. He had survived. One battle. But there would be more. Hours passed. Rex fought burning drones, flying stingers, and traps that fired plasma from the walls. He was cut, burned, and bleeding. Yet something in him had changed. The blade was unlocking his body, healing it slowly, making him faster, stronger, sharper. And memories began to rise. Not his memories. Human memories. From long ago. He saw a great war. Humans in shining armor standing with the blade, fighting shoulder to shoulder with aliens, until the betrayal. The blade pulsed in his hand again. You are the echo of what they tried to erase. You are the fire beneath the ash. Rex collapsed near an old broken console. He had survived the beasts. He had survived the traps. Only minutes left before dawn. But then, the ground cracked open. Something ancient rose from below. A machine, no, a titan, with arms like buildings, a face made of steel and flame, eyes red as blood. It was not alive. It was built for one purpose: to destroy the last warrior who passed all other trials, the final. Test Rex stood, barely able to breathe. I don't know if I can do this, he whispered. The blade responded with fire, his body lit with the same white light from the temple. Brighter, hotter now. Rex ran forward as the titan roared. He was no longer running to survive. He was running to become. Echoes of a lost empire. The sun rose slowly above the trial grounds. Rex stood alone in the smoke and broken metal. The titan machine lay crushed behind him, sparks flying from its torn body. His arms trembled. His legs were weak. But in his hand, The sacred blade still glowed, brighter than ever. He had survived. The gate opened. No one clapped. No one smiled. Only silence waited. The high priest stepped forward, his golden eyes wide. No one, not even the champions of the Empire, ever defeated the Titan. Rek didn't answer. He didn't care about their approval. He didn't come to impress them. He came for something else. Answers. They led him back to the temple, but not to the warriors' hall. Instead, they took him beneath it, deeper into ancient tunnels, to a room forgotten by most of the galaxy. The walls were made of black stone, covered in carvings, human faces, human warriors, human kings. Rek stepped forward, heart pounding. "What is this place?" he asked. The high priest didn't speak. Instead, he pressed a button on a hidden panel. A part of the wall slid open. Inside, a chamber full of light. Floating in the air was a cube, silver, humming, alive. The sacred blade in Rek's hand pulsed. It wanted him to step forward. Rek reached for the cube. As his fingers touched it, the room exploded in light. Images flashed before his eyes. Not just pictures, but memories. Not his memories. His ancestors. Vision 1. Humans in silver armor stood beside alien friends. They were leaders, creators, peacekeepers. The blade was forged by them. Not found, not gifted. Forged in fire and spirit, meant to choose only the brave. Vision 2. Alien lords, greedy and afraid, betrayed the human alliance. They erased history, killed heroes, and rewrote the records. They built empires on lies, teaching all that humans were weak. Vision 3. The blade was hidden, waiting for one descendant of the true line, one who could unlock the full truth. Rek fell back. Gasping, he now knew. He came from a forgotten line of warriors. Not slaves, not servants. Guardians. Suddenly, alarms blared across the temple. An attack. Outside, ships circled in the sky. Not enemies, but Imperial forces. A command drone buzzed into the room. By order of High Lord Karnax, the human is to be captured. The blade returned, the temple sealed. Rek gritted his teeth. The Empire wanted to erase him before the truth could spread. He turned to the high priest. "Are you going to follow them, or stand for what's right?" The priest stared at him for a long moment, then he nodded. "This place was built by your kind. If you live, maybe we all have a chance." He opened a secret tunnel behind the wall. "Run, and take the truth with you." Rek escaped through the tunnel, running through dark corridors, jumping over broken steps and flooded paths. The temple shook above him. Explosions thundered as Imperial soldiers landed, but Rek wasn't running alone. The blade guided him. It led him to an old docking bay hidden in the rocks. Inside, an ancient ship sat, covered in dust forgotten by time. As he approached, the ship's doors opened on their own, systems turned on. Lights flickered to life. Rek stepped inside. Voice print recognized, said the ship's AI. "Welcome, heir of the forgotten flame." As the ship launched, Rek looked down through the window. The temple burned behind him. But he had something more powerful than fire. He had the truth. The AI spoke again. "Destination?" Rek held the blade close. "Take me to the last place they think I'd go." "Earth?" the AI asked. Rek shook his head. "No, the vaults of Solaris Prime." The AI hesitated. The old capital of the human empire, now controlled by the Zetar, and Lord Karnax himself. Rek stared ahead. "Then that's exactly where I need to be." The betrayer's smile. Rek's ship cut through the blackness of space, silent and fast. The AI guided him toward a system long erased from most star charts. Solaris Prime, once the heart of the human empire, now a fortress ruled by the alien Lord Karnax. The skies above were filled with warships, drones, and tracking satellites. The AI whispered calmly, "We must cloak. Entering without clearance is suicide." Rek nodded. "Cloak us, and scan for life below. Human life. The AI paused. There is one match. Faint. Underground. Deep within the ruins of the old archive towers. Rek's hand tightened on the sacred blade. Then we go there. Now, meanwhile, on the surface of Solaris Prime, inside a palace of black stone, Lord Karnax stood before a hologram of Rek's face. He escaped the temple, a captain reported. He now flies a ship from the old human fleet. And the blade still obeys him. Karnax's fingers tapped the edge of his throne. "Send the Shadow Watch," he said, "and activate Project Silencer. I want his blood on the dust of Solaris and before anyone sees what he truly is." A figure stepped from the shadows behind him. Tall, armored, human. "What about me, my lord?" the man asked. Karnax smiled. Yes, Captain Varn. It's time your old friend met the real you." On the surface, Rek landed the ship silently inside a collapsed hangar deep in the ruins. The city above was dead, once full of life, now silent, watched only by drones and shadows. He stepped outside, cloak pulled tight, blade hidden on his back. The AI guided him through the ruins. He found the entrance to the old archive, a deep stairway hidden beneath a fallen statue of a human general. Rek moved quickly, passing old murals covered in dust, data screens long broken, and signs of a battle that had never been reported. "They wiped out the truth here," Rek whispered. But then he heard a whisper, a voice. Human. "Rek?" He turned. An old woman stood behind a broken wall holding a rifle far too heavy for her. Her face was scarred. Her eyes burned with hope. "My name is Ada. I was a soldier. Long ago. I knew someone like you would come." Rek stared in shock. "You're human? You survived all this?" She nodded. "There are more of us, hidden, waiting, and we remember everything." She led him deeper underground. Rek passed chambers full of ancient weapons, books, and glowing data cores. In one room, a giant wall showed a timeline, thousands of years of human history erased by the Empire. "This is what they stole from us," Ada said. "But we kept copies. We kept it all." Rek stepped forward. "I need this data. I need to show the galaxy what really happened." "Then you must hurry," Ada said. "Someone followed you." Rek froze. "Who?" An old friend, turned into a ghost. Outside the ruins, Captain Varn arrived with a full kill squad. Tall, strong, and wearing a black mask, he moved like a hunter. He had once served beside Rek. During the last human rebellion, he had also betrayed him. "I know. You're down there, brother," Varn said into his comms, "and this time I won't let you walk away." Below the betrayal begins. Rek and Ada are uploading the ancient data to a signal beacon, but suddenly, an explosion. The ceiling collapsed. Rek grabbed Ada and pulled her behind a pillar. Dust filled the air. Then, a voice. Smooth. Cold. Familiar. "Hello, Rek." Rek stepped forward. Face hard. "Varn." Varn removed his mask. His face hadn't aged. The Empire had kept him alive with alien tech, but his eyes were cold now. "Dead. You still carry that toy?" Varn asked, nodding to the blade. "You think history makes you a hero?" Rek didn't answer. "They saved me," Varn said. "Fed me, trained me, showed me the truth. Humans failed. We deserved to fall. The Empire gave us purpose." Rek stepped closer. "They made you a slave." "No," Varn said. "They made me a god." And then he drew his weapon. The fight exploded in seconds. Rek's blade clashed against Varn's sword. A strange, alien metal weapon made to counter the sacred blade. Every swing from Rek burned with light. Every strike from Varn hissed, with poison. Walls shattered. Data cores burst. Fire lit the chamber. Rek was faster. Varn was stronger. But then, Varn smiled. A betrayer's smile. "You were always better than me, Rek," he whispered, and he pressed a button on his wrist. The chamber lit with red lights. A self-destruct countdown began. Ada screamed. No! The data! Rek knocked Varn back and raced to the beacon, grabbing the data core and shoving it into a backup unit. The countdown reached 5. Rek grabbed Ada. The AI screamed through his comm. I'm bringing the ship around. Jump now! They ran. Fire chased them through the halls. As the archive exploded behind them, Rek and Ada leaped into the air, the ship catching them just in time, high above, inside the Imperial Palace. Lord Karnax watched the explosion from his tower. So, the traitor failed, he said. Then he turned to a dark figure in the corner, wearing ancient armor, face hidden. Send in the Voidborn. Rise of the Hidden Flame. Rek stood at the window of his ship, looking down at the burning ruins of Solaris Prime. The archive was gone. Captain Varn had vanished into the flames. But Rek had escaped with something more valuable than revenge. He held the data core in his hands. Inside it was the truth, human history, war records, and proof that the Empire had stolen everything. Ada, sitting beside him, watched in silence. She had seen too much loss in her life. But now, for the first time in years, there was a spark in her eyes. You can change everything, she whispered. Rek didn't speak. He looked at the sacred blade resting beside him. Its light was pulsing stronger now. Faster, as if it was awakening. Deep in space, inside a hidden asteroid base, Rek and Ada met with the last free human cells, rebels, old soldiers, and rogue scientists. Many were broken, tired, hopeless, until they saw him, until they saw the blade. We thought it was a myth, one whispered. I saw it in my grandfather's stories, said another. The blade that could speak, the blade that could choose. Rek stood before them, silent. Then he turned on the hologram and showed them the truth. The data played across the room, showing the old battles, the betrayal, the lies of the Empire. They watched humans fighting side by side with aliens, standing proud and powerful. They saw Earth before the fall. They saw Rek's face. And they saw the fire return to their hearts. One by one, they began to rise. You have soldiers now, Ada said. But soldiers need something else. Rek nodded. A symbol. He returned to the ship's armory. The AI had been working silently, rebuilding parts of the sacred blade with what they found at the archive, ancient pieces, lost tech. The weapon has grown with you, the AI said, but now it's ready to become more. Rek placed the blade on the forge table. Metal arms moved quickly. Ancient systems hissed and roared. Energy pulsed around the forge. When it finished, the blade had changed. Its silver was darker now, like night steel. Along its edge were new symbols, human language, forgotten for centuries. Rek picked it up. The blade didn't just glow now. It breathed. We will take back our worlds, Rek said, but not alone. Then who will fight with us? Ada asked. Rek smiled. The ones the Empire abandoned. Across the galaxy, Rek began visiting forbidden zones, planets locked away by the Empire, places where the Empire sent slaves, prisoners, and broken tribes. But Rek brought more than promises. He brought the truth and he brought the blade. He stood in front of forgotten warriors, prisoners, even old enemy species, and showed them the real past. Some cursed him, some wept, but many joined. Rek's army was not perfect. It was wild, scarred, angry, but it was real, and it was growing. Meanwhile, in the void beyond the stars, a black ship opened its eyes. The Voidborn had awakened, creatures not born but built, made of darkness and bone, kept in stasis since the old war. The Emperor had given them one mission: destroy the flame. Back at the rebel base, Rek trained harder than ever. He sparred with alien generals, old human veterans, and even droids designed to kill. Each night, he spoke with the blade. It no longer whispered. It conversed with him now. You are not a weapon, it told him. You are a memory and a promise. Rek didn't want to become a king, he wanted to become a light. But then, tragedy struck. One of their new bases, hidden on a jungle moon, went silent. Rek rushed there with a team of fighters. When they arrived, they saw no survivors. Only marks, deep, strange claw marks, carved into steel. A single word was written on a wall in ash, Voidborn. Ada stared, horrified. They've released the old ones. Rek tightened his grip on the blade. Then we end this before they consume the stars. As he turned back to his ship, a voice called out behind him. Rek. He turned. His eyes widened. It was Captain Varn, wounded, burnt, alive. He collapsed to his knees. They used me, but I remember now. The blade, it showed me. Rek stepped forward cautiously. Why are you here? Varn looked up, blood on his lips. They're coming, and they don't just want you, they want Earth. Rek froze. Why? Varn coughed. Because it's waking up. War beneath the stars. Rek stood frozen. The name Earth echoed in his mind like a thunderclap. What do you mean it's waking up? He asked, his voice sharp. Captain Varn, wounded, shaking, knelt on the jungle floor, holding his chest. Earth? It was never dead, Varn whispered. They lied to everyone, even me. Rek leaned in. The Empire said it was a ruin. It's not, Varn rasped. Beneath its ash, something sleeps, and the Voidborn are going there to destroy it, before it remembers what it is. Rek's hands tightened around the blade. The AI in his earpiece spoke up. Long-range sensors confirm it. A Voidborn fleet is moving toward the Sol system. Earth is their primary target. Rek stood slowly. Then so are we. 3 days later, Rek's army was ready. But it wasn't like any army in the Empire. His fleet was made of stolen ships, rebuilt human carriers, alien crafts flown by rebels, and old warbots patched together with wires and hope. His soldiers were humans, aliens, exiles, bound by truth, not power. And at the center of it all stood Rek, flame in his eyes, sacred blade on his back, and a war waiting in his heart. We launch in 1 hour, he said to his command group. We don't go to Earth just to protect it. We go to remember it. We go to make it ours again. The Empire will intercept us, Ada warned. Rek nodded. And we'll go through them, in orbit around Earth. The Voidborn arrived first. They were creatures of nightmare, half machine, half shadow. They didn't speak. They didn't feel. They only erased. Their leader, known as the Silence, stood aboard a ship shaped like a jagged blade. His body was black glass and cold light. Begin descent, he said in a voice like frost-breaking stone. Earth below shuddered, its surface cracking, old machines awakening. Deep beneath the crust, an ancient signal pulsed. Faster, louder. Rek's fleet jumped into orbit. Instantly, alarms blared. They're here, said the AI, and they're already breaking through the atmosphere. Rek opened the comms. To every ship. This is not just a fight for a planet, he said. This is a fight for our beginning. And if we fall, let the stars remember that we tried. His blade lit in his hands. Engage. Battle erupted. Rek's fighters swarmed, the Voidborn drones. Alien weapons fired beams of blue fire. Human cruisers dropped magnetic mines. The sky lit with explosions. In space, ships collided. On the ground, Voidborn war beasts landed. Metal giants with drills for arms and faces like skulls. Rek led the ground team. He landed with a strike squad near the ruins of old New York, now buried beneath Earth's reborn forest. The earth beneath them felt alive. The ground throbbed with memory. The planet remembers us, Ada whispered. Then came the storm. Voidborn troops poured from the sky like black rain. Rek's squad opened fire, holding the line with fire, rage, and courage. Rek's blade cut through shadows like lightning. For every one he killed, 2 more came. But he didn't stop. Inside the earth, deeper than anyone knew. Machines awakened. Not alien, not void-born human. Giant steel guardians rose from vaults long hidden. Their cores glowed with old power. They climbed through tunnels toward the surface. Rek felt them. The blade pulsed wildly. He fell to his knees. A voice thundered in his head. Flamebearer, the time has come. Unite the lost. On the battlefield, the tide was turning. Rek raised, the blade high, and from the sky, old satellites reactivated. They began transmitting the truth, all across the galaxy. People saw the old records, the real history, the betrayal. On every Empire world, rebellions began. Rek's flame had become a firestorm. But then, the silence arrived. He landed near Rek like a falling comet, tall, cold, unstoppable. You are not chosen, the silence said. You are noise, and I will erase you. Rek stepped forward. Then try. They clashed, blade against darkness. Each strike shook the ground. Rek's fire burned hot, but the silence absorbed it, feeding off it. Your light is just fuel. For the end, the silence hissed. Rek dropped to one knee. But before the silence could finish him, the ground exploded. From below, a giant human guardian rose, 10 stories tall, with glowing arms and a chest full of solar fire. It punched the silence back. Rek looked up in awe. They woke up. The guardian opened a panel. Inside was a chamber for Rek. The blade burned in his hand. He stepped inside. The machine sealed him in and merged with him. Rek's voice echoed through the sky now. Louder, stronger. This is not your galaxy anymore. Rek, now inside the Guardian, led the final charge. Ships above fired everything they had. On the ground, soldiers rallied. The silence screamed and launched his full power. But Rek's fire answered. He drove the blade into the core of the silence's heart. The Voidborn screamed as they were pulled into nothing, a vortex of broken shadow. And then, silence. For real this time. The stars calmed. The war was over. The blade that chose humanity, the galaxy had gone quiet. The Voidborn were gone. Rek's final blow had sealed the silence's fate. The corrupted heart of the old empire had cracked. From the ruins of that silence, a new sound began to rise. Hope. But Rek was not seen after the battle. When the giant human guardian collapsed near the heart of Earth, it fell still. Its metal skin turned to stone. Birds flew across its arms. Grass began to grow around its legs. Rek's flame had gone silent. Some said he had died in the final strike. Others believed he had become the Guardian, a spirit bound to the planet, but the blade was no longer beside him. It had vanished. Months later, across the stars, strange things began to happen. A child on a mining colony found a sword buried in rock, and it glowed when she touched it. A farmer on a war-torn moon healed his dying. Crops after dreaming of fire and light. In a broken city orbiting a dying sun, old statues of humans began to shine, and, as if lit from within, the legends had returned. On Earth a city was rising, not a copy of the old world, something new, built by humans, aliens, machines, and exiles, all working together. Rek's army had become protectors of peace. Ada sat in the council chamber, older now, her face marked by time and war. She looked at the stars every night, still waiting for a signal. A sign. A voice. None came, but she still smiled. He's out there, she whispered. He always is. On a faraway planet deep in a quiet forest, a young girl, no more than 10, found something under the roots of an old tree. A blade, silver and dark, smooth and warm. When she touched it, it didn't burn. It pulsed. A voice entered her thoughts. You are not ready, but one day you will be. She didn't understand the voice, but she felt it. And for the first time in her life, she didn't feel afraid. Far beyond the stars, inside a dimension folded in light and time, Rek opened his eyes. He stood inside a golden field. No walls, no weapons, no war. Beside him stood the original flame-bearers, ancient human warriors, their armor cracked by time, their faces calm. "You did what none before could do," one of them said. "You woke the galaxy." Rek looked down at his hands. They glowed with a soft fire. "Is it over?" "For now," the warrior replied. "But the flame is never truly gone. It only changes hands." Rek looked out toward the edge of the golden field where stars swirled and futures waited. "So what happens next?" The warrior smiled. "You rest. Until the blade calls again." Back in the real galaxy, statues were raised not to kings but to truth. Rek was remembered not as a god or conqueror, but as a reminder, a flame that chose humanity. Not because it was perfect, but because it never stopped trying. A storyteller sat in the center of a glowing plaza. Children from many worlds gathered around him. His voice was low, full of wonder. "They laughed when he touched the sacred blade," he whispered. "They said only a true warrior deserved it." The children leaned closer, and then it lit up in his hands. The end.